The world's richest and most powerful people are visiting this small town in the Swiss Alps this week. This is Davos, the host of the World Economic Forum. The conference takes place every year. Why? To discuss some of the world's most pressing issues, like the economy, AI, and climate change. But before the event even started, one person has dominated the agenda: the US President Donald Trump. His threats to annex Greenland, the operation in Venezuela, the pressure to end the war in Ukraine, and most recently, tariffs on closest European allies. The US President arrives on Wednesday, and his name will most likely be in everyone's conversations. So the question is simple: can the world's biggest gathering of elites talk about anything other than one man's agenda?
Davos ready for Donald Trump? In less than 2 weeks, the president is going to march his full economic team into the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. You could say he's walking into the lion's den, except that he's the lion. And the globalists know it. Yesterday, the New York Times shrieked that Donald Trump has set himself above international law. They wrote, on topic after topic, President Trump made clear he would be the arbiter of any limits to his authority, not international law or treaties. But it's not international law they're worried about. It's their entire globalist system. And that is what Trump was actually telling the New York Times, and that is exactly what he's going to tell the gathered so-called international elite at Davos. He's crippled their dirty money laundromat in the Caribbean with the Venezuelan operation. He's declared war on the economic cartels, and he's withdrawn from 66 international organizations that are used to enforce globalist policies. Now, you're not supposed to notice any of that. You're supposed to be caught up in the play-by-play of the Minnesota ICE shootings, while the Democratic foot soldiers and the controlled media try to spin up their irregular warfare operations here at home. Well, Trump and his team aren't going to let them get away with that. Both J.D. Vance and Scott Bessent made that clear in the past 2 days.
What that headline leaves out is that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job.
I'm Susan Kokinda, and I've seen how for decades the enemy keeps the American people in check by trapping them on the battlefields that the enemy chooses in order to keep patriots away from the real fight, which is bringing down the British imperial system. Well, Donald Trump is taking that system on, and if that's the fight you want to be a part of, I need you to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons so we can stay in touch and we can expand our reach on YouTube. Here's what we're going to cover today: how Trump is going to deliver the terms of surrender at Davos, that the Trump administration has already taken a direct strike on 66 transnational organizations, and how Treasury Secretary Bessent is bringing the fight right home here in Minnesota. So in less than 2 weeks, Donald Trump lands in Davos, and he's bringing with him a demolition crew. He's bringing Treasury Secretary Bessent, Commerce Secretary Lutnick, Energy Secretary Wright, Trade Representative Greer, and don't forget Trump's close confidant and diplomat of all trades, Steve Witkoff. Why this group? Because they represent all the elements that are replacing the British liberal free trade system. Lutnick and Greer are going to tell them that the era of sending American manufacturing capacity overseas and gutting our middle and working classes is over. Bessent is there to cut off the capital flows that prioritize global financial income streams over American wages. And Chris Wright, well, he's the walking refutation of the entire insane green agenda. And Steve Witkoff, well, he's the guy who gets things done for Donald Trump. But to really understand what Trump is doing in Davos, you're going to have to understand where Davos comes from. It was started in 1971. That was the year the British Empire dismantled the Bretton Woods financial system. That is the system that had stabilized economies in the post-war world. So the World Economic Forum was launched to...
Oui, le Forum économique mondial de Davos ne répond pas aux aspirations des communautés. Quand on regarde aujourd'hui, du début du Forum de Davos jusqu'à aujourd'hui, la pauvreté ne fait que monter. Il y a plus de... La société civile est obligée, les communautés sont obligées d'inventer leur propre système économique. Ça veut dire que le Forum mondial de Davos ne répond pas vraiment à l'attente du monde. Ils sont vraiment loin de l'attente du monde. S'il y a beaucoup de conférences, ça ne suffit pas. C'est l'acte. Il faut passer à l'acte, à l'action. Il y a eu toutes les conférences du monde. Maintenant, il faut passer à l'action concrète de qu'est-ce que les conférences vont se matérialiser auprès des communautés, auprès des populations.
Trump plans to have America be the 7th business that he bankrupts. Okay, now wait. I know you're like, oh, I know he said he's going to treat it like a business, but it's not actually a business. You can't bankrupt America. Okay, listen to this. So Trump bankrupted 6 businesses. I believe they were all casinos. And people are like, oh, that makes him a bad businessman. Yes, it does. But also, no, it doesn't. Because what happen? Why do you bankrupt a business? When you are a private equity firm or you're a big business and you buy another business, your purpose, your goal is to extract as much profit as you can out of that business, and then either sell it to the next bidder, or you can keep it if it's a really good strategic asset, like it has good potential for future growth. But most private equity firms don't care about that. They want to get as much money as they can out of that business in the short term and then sell it off again. And how do they get that biggest profit? They do a bunch of layoffs when they first buy it, right? What happened when Trump got in office? Oh, we're shrinking the government. Oh, we got the whole Doge fiasco happened, and they laid off a bunch of people in the federal government. Okay, stay with me. They lower they give more work to the people who are left so that they can save money. They increase the prices of all of the products typically that they are selling. I'm like, what do we have as the products? Healthcare is one. Healthcare, everything is going up. Everything that every product that America sells is going up. You put the tariffs on everything. That's a version of increasing prices of everything in America. So he made all the prices go up. Okay. And then the last step for a private equity firm or a business that's, trying to extract as much profit out of a business before they dump it and drop it and leave it there for parts, is they take out a bunch of loans on that business. And then the loans that they get from that business, the actual money, they put it in their pockets, in their own personal pockets, in the executives' pockets, in the shareholders' pockets, and they leave the debt on the business, and then they file for bankruptcy for the business. But the business, remember, whenever you have a business, you have a limited liability company, at LLC. That means you are limited by you have limited liability to that company, limited liability company. That means the banks can sue the company for the money, but if the company doesn't have it, the company goes bankrupt. But they can't sue you because you are not the business. You are a different entity from the business. That's the whole point of having a business, is to have a different entity from your personal person. And so during that big, beautiful, ugly bill, what did it say? It said the debt ceiling for America was going to go up and up and up and up and up to like the highest debt ceiling it was ever going to go. But guess who has made the most profit ever as a sitting president? Donald Trump. Y'all, are y'all listening? Like he's bankrupted America. He's planned to bankrupt America. This has been his strategy again and again and again and again, is to get a business, lay off the people, work them to the bone, the people who are left, who are there to do the rest of the services, increase the prices of everything that you're selling, take out loans on that business, keep all the money from the loans yourself, don't put it into the business, and then drop the business and run to the next one. Like that is the whole plan. That's how you make profit in private equity. That's how you make profit in acquisitions. Like that's how you make profit. Like sometimes, of course, they'll buy the business and they'll like merge it and integrate it, and then they'll actually use it to invest in the business and make the business better. But like that is the minority of the time that happens. Like usually when businesses buy another business, they buy it, they take out the best pieces of it, put it inside their own business, and then leave the rest for scraps. Like that's it. And in private equity specifically, they buy it, they pump some money into it, get as much profit as they can, and then literally just drop the whole thing. They don't even merge the businesses or the service. Like Toys R Us, gone. What is it, like Michael's or Mary and Joe? Like some craft shop is gone. Like whenever whenever private equity buys like businesses, they destroy them and they eat them all up, eat up every nutritious part of the business, and then leave the rest for scraps. And then if you like that service, sorry, it's gone now. Little kitties, you like Toys R Us, sorry. Anyway, so I'm going too far, but yeah, so that is what Donald Trump is doing. He is treating America like a business, and y'all don't know why you're acting like he didn't bankrupt 6 casinos, because that is what he did with his businesses, and he's doing the same thing now with America this time. All right, bye. Oh, and that is why they are holding back on this government shutdown. the Republican Party, and that is because they want to be able to take out those loans and extract as much money as they can, put it in their own pockets. But the Democrats are saying no, some of that money needs to go back to the American people via health care. And the Republicans are not trying to hear that. They're like, no, that's our money. But they're not going to tell you, the public, that. They're going to say, oh, the Democrats are being difficult. Oh, the Democrats are, they're just using the government shutdown for a political gain, or all this dumb stuff that they're saying. But no, we know what it is. They want to get as much money out of those tax dollars that we're paying the government. They want that to go in their personal pockets. And if they have to pay for health care, that is millions of dollars not going in their pockets. So why would they give y'all health care when they could have another yacht, when they could buy a private island? So anyways, that was, I just wanted to, that's why the government shutdown is happening, because he is trying to get his coin. All right, bye.